You are welcome to my class today, dear students. Recall in the last class I taught you the topic husbandry of fiber crops, and I explained extensively the pre-planting, planting and post-planting operation. I also explained the term ginning in the process of converting cotton balls into usage by textile industry. Now, in today's topic, I'll be teaching you oil palm, which belongs to Elis guineensis. I spell it for you: Elaeis. That's the genus name, and guineensis, Guineensis, all italicized. So that's a scientific name of oil palm. Now, oil palm also belongs to the family called Palmier, or you can say palm family. The coconut is a crop that belongs to the same family with oil palm. Now, oil palm is mostly cultivated for the sake of the oil, which is gotten from the mesocarp, and the kernel, which is the endocarp. Now, the fruit is called a drupe fruit. It's a drupe fruit, and it's an oil crop, like I said earlier. So there are different varieties of oil palm. There are about 3 varieties of oil palm. This is the Dura, the Tenera, and the Piscifera, as it is written on your screen. The Dura, the Tenera, and the Piscifera, they are all different. Now, the Dura has thin mesocarp and a thick endocarp. The endocarp is the shell. Okay, the Dura usually have a large kernel. So we need to understand what mesocarp, endocarp, pericarp, and the rest is. Now on your screen you see the endosperm, the embryo, and the seed coat. They make up what is referred to as the seed. While the pericarp is composed of the endocarp, which is the shell, the mesocarp, which is the oily part that is required by the farmer, and the exocarp. Now you can see it here, the Dura, which has thick shell, okay, and the Tenera, which has a thin shell but a thick endocarp. Then we have the Piscifera. The Piscifera has a very thick mesocarp, and it doesn't have the shell, it doesn't have the kernel. As you can see here, this is differentiating the Dura, the Tenera, and the Piscifera. So you must be able to differentiate the 3 by the aid of pictures, which I'll be asking you in your quiz. You must be able to differentiate the Dura, the Piscifera, and the Tenera. Here, you need to take a pause here, and you need to be able to at least draw this thing down and know the difference between the exocarp, the endocarp, and the mesocarp. The mesocarp is highly thick. Okay, now the climatic and soil requirement. Oil palm requires a temperature of about 18 degrees to 27 degrees Celsius. Most times the rainfall is usually around 1,500 millimeter to 2,000 millimeter per annum. So that's to tell you that oil palm is mostly cultivated in areas where rain is highly abundant. Now, oil palm is also it requires a deep loamy soil that is rich in organic matter. So it means that if the soil is not rich in organic matter, if it is not a loamy soil, you can't plant oil palm there. And it requires a slightly acidic soil of pH 4.5 to 6. Now I'll be explaining to you the method of propagation. Now if you'd ask me, I'll tell you that oil palm is propagated by seed, which is also referred to as sexually. Okay, now first of all, the land that is meant for oil palm cultivation must be thoroughly cleared of weeds. Most times oil palm is first cultivated in the nursery. Okay, the nursery is a very essential stage of oil palm cultivation, and the first stage of nursery husbandry of oil palm is that the seeds will be soaked into water for 7 days, Okay, and after the 7 days, the seeds are placed in a shade for 24 hours to dry before being put in what? In polythene bags. They are then allowed to germinate. Now the germinator usually has a temperature of about 39 degrees centigrade, and the oil palm is allowed to stay in the nursery for 80 days. Now after they stay in the nursery for 80 days, the oil palm is transferred to the field. Now in the field, most times transplanting into the field normally take place between April to May, and the plant spacing is usually 9 meters by 9 meters in a triangular form, unlike other kind of crops that is usually 9 meters within row and 9 meters, and it's usually planted within and between rows. But in this case now for oil palm, usually planted 9 meters by 9 meters in a triangular form. Now oil palm can also be intercropped with other crops such as maize, such as the yam, and such as all other such as cowpea. Even you can also practice vegetable farming in an oil palm plantation. Now oil palm requires NPK 15-15-15 fertilizer, 15-15-15 fertilizer. All right, and now we are looking at pests of oil palm. Now oil palm at an early stage is prone to rodent attack. There's also grasshopper attack. Grasshopper can eat up the leaves, such as you can see. There's also rats. Rats are also one of the rodents of oil palm, and also birds. Birds make use of the oil palm fronds as a nest. They use it to build their nest. So those are one of the pests of oil palm. You can see here we have the grass cutter, which usually is a pest of oil palm when the oil palm is still in the seedling stage. They eat the seeds. They also eat the stems of oil palm. A typical way of preventing it, if it's an insect, the farmer can spray the plot with an insecticide, and if it's birds, you can spray with aviside, and if it is grass cutter, the farmer can use wire mesh to surround the young seedling at a very tender age. Now moving on, we are going to be talking about the harvesting, processing, and storage. Harvesting of oil palm. Oil palm gets matured as from 3 years to 5 years onward, and it can spend as much as 50 years to 100 years lifespan, depending on the variety. Now oil palm usually can be harvested manually with the use of harvesting knife, and it is processed into oil palm. They also make use of the kernel to get vegetable oil, that is palm kernel oil. Now the first stage of oil palm processing is the separation of the kernel from the bunch. Now I'll be explaining most of this for you in the physical class. I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you had a wonderful time in my class. Do have a wonderful day. Bye bye.